The series we present are Behind Her Eyes, El Internado, Las Cumbres, Ginny and Georgia, Tell Me Your Secrets, Tribes of Europa, and 50 Square Meters. Behind Her Eyes. The miniseries follows the story of Louise, a single mother whose life changes when she begins an affair with her new boss David, and things take an even weirder turn when she's attracted to an unlikely friendship with his wife Adele. What begins as a love triangle soon becomes a dark psychological story of suspense and twisted revelations, as Louise finds herself trapped in a dangerous web of secrets where nothing and no one is what it seems. This series for us is good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. This 6-part psychological thriller is original and interesting, mixed with a supernatural twist. The performances and the adaptation of the novel of the same name are both good. By the way, there will be no second season, as the producers consider the story of the 3 main characters finished. El Internado, Las Cumbres. In a school located next to a former monastery among the mountains, students are troubled children who live under the strict discipline imposed by the school to reintegrate them into society. The surrounding forest is home to ancient legends, threats that remain in place and will immerse them in fast-paced and terrifying adventures. This series for us is good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The story of this Spanish production is original and interesting, full of suspense and intrigue, mixed with mystery and supernatural horror. Both the performances and the scenography are good. This series of 8 episodes has already been renewed for a second season, due to be released in 2022. Ginny and Georgia. Independent Georgia and her 2 children, Ginny and Austin, moved north in search of a new life, but they find that starting from scratch can be tricky. This series for us is average, so we give it 2 stars out of 5. The plot of this new series is not that original, and it's similar to other shows about single mothers, and you can tell they have mixed and taken similar stories from other productions like Gilmore Girls, Euphoria, among others. The story unfolds in a fast-paced, exaggerated manner, like for example in the first episode, they covered all the themes Netflix reflects in its series: sex, drugs, homosexuality, biracial relationships, discrimination, among others, portrayed in an exaggerated and ridiculous way. What girl in her right mind would lose her virginity not using protection with a guy who she knows is dating someone else and is a drug user? Ginny is supposed to be a smart girl, smarter and more mature than her mother. That's the premise of the show. So what happened? That's the reason the series leaves much to be desired. The performances are average and some are actually annoying, except that from the actress that plays Ginny. We decided to keep on watching this show as we found it intriguing enough to see what happens and becomes of Ginny. Tell Me Your Secrets. Emma is a young woman who at one point in her life crosses paths with a dangerous killer. John is a former sexual predator who's seeking society's forgiveness, and finally, Mary is an overwhelmed woman who is obsessed with finding her missing daughter. This series for us is good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The plot is original and interesting, full of dramatism and suspense. Both the performances and scenography are good. This series consists of 10 episodes and is really worth watching. Tribes of Europa. In 2074, three brothers struggled to change Europe's destiny, now ruled by different tribes since a global catastrophe fractured the continent into countless microstates pitted against each other. This series for us is good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The series is interesting and keeps you entertained, but the plot is similar to many other productions about post-apocalyptic worlds, like for example the classic Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, among others, where different groups fight for dominance and one of those groups always uses dark face makeup to show that they are the most bloodthirsty, like in this case, the Crows. The difference lies with the science fiction concept of the role played by the Cube, the search for the Atlanteans, and the threat coming from the east. By the way, did you notice that scene where a llama, the South American camelid, appears with a group of people running away from the east? We found this scene funny. Where did the llama come from? China? Anyhow, this series of 6 episodes is entertaining enough to watch. "50 Square Meters." This comedy and intrigue series revolves around Golgi, a hitman who works for an agency until one day he decides to betray his bosses. Pursued by his superiors, Golgi hides in a small empty tailor shop of 50 square meters, where he's mistaken for the son of the former owner. This series for us is good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The story of this Turkish series is original, interesting, dramatic, and with plenty of Turkish humor. This series of 8 episodes is worth watching.